you stopped doing your town hall. Do you still go to the council meetings? Because I haven't seen any
I think you
in
scared your
amendum
competition away, Gary.
videos.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mentioned it before, but you actually get the back of them. These are the CDs I have not listened to yet. You know, I got like 3 months of council meetings I got to go through. So yeah, it's not good. Got like a whole day's worth of hours of council meetings to listen to. Yeah,
Isn't it a lot more fun when you show up?
No, I don't do the showing up thing. I'd end up in jail. Come on, showing up? No, that will not work.
Do you go to a lot of your? I mean, I'm not a regular, obviously, but you go to a lot of city council meetings and like I don't know, blog about it or something like that, or make
Yeah,
YouTube
well, I
videos.
used to. You know, I don't. But yeah, no, I don't go to them. I get the. You know, I force them actually under the. They're supposed to under law, but I finally, you know, so I get the copies of the meetings. You know, the audio recordings, and you know, play them, and then I do my. Oh, well, this is where this guy was full of shit, and this is where this guy was lying through his teeth, and this is where this guy's full of shit, and, you know, I do that crap. But, yeah, I haven't been doing it the last few months. I've been dropping the ball. I mean, you just get kind of sick of the little picture kind of stuff, you know, the little local corruptions, and it's almost like you don't even want to get into it because it just gets so damn personal with these damn people. I mean, you know, they really do have the favoritism and this, you know what I mean? It's just the games that are played, and it's just like, oh, you don't even want to get into that, but I mean, it's there. And so then you end up just getting fights with people about, you know, it gets personal, I guess is what I'm saying, is, and who wants to live like that?
Well,
But I mean, I'm
not to
still
get
going to do it.
not to get too personal, but like what area of the country do you live in?
Like everybody knows that already. Everybody knows exactly where I live. But anyway, yeah, it's New Jersey, Morris County, rich town, blah, 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 in Mendham, da-da-da-da. But anyway.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I don't even like seeing my neighbors outside. When I go in the front yard and my neighbor's standing there, I'll avoid it because I don't want to talk about stuff, you know? I don't like that creeping in on my space. And I never used to care about that. I don't know why that kind of developed.
I don't know. I'm kind of the opposite. I'd like to be able to to interact with my neighbors, but they all speak Spanish, and I don't. So, oh well.
Yeah, it's a
I don't know.
tricky balance, you know, because you know, I'm so used to doing the YouTube thing and the hard philosophy thing that I always kind of tend to go there in conversations with people now, and it's almost like it's too dark, too hard for social interaction. You know what I mean? And so it's like I've become, it's like I'm not suited to either environment. I mean, I'm not. You can't live here and I can't live there. So it's like I can't. It's like I haven't found my place. But I never had a place, so I mean I can't complain that much. But whatever.
You get the feeling like you've lost the ability to make small talk.
Yeah, that's definitely always been a problem, but it's really a big problem now. It's like, yeah, I just got no time for bullshit. Let's just get to the consumption, reproduction, reproducing DNA thing. What are we going to do about that problem? Fuck all the rest of this crap. It's like the oil spill is like small potatoes compared to the DNA problem.
Do you happen to read Peter Singer had an op-ed in the New York Times? I think they have sort of like a I guess an ongoing segment called like I think it's called the Stone, and it's just basically where they have contemporary philosophers espousing their ideas in editorials. And Peter Singer had one where he was basically talking about whether or not it's ethical to reproduce. Um, I thought it was a pretty interesting read, but anyway, I'm
Yeah,
sure you
well,
don't
you
have to
know,
hear me about that.
yeah, well, no, I mean, look, this guy, you know, he's a good vegetarian and all that kind of stuff, and so, you know, I don't, you know, I think that's the logical conclusion is just to say, you know, yeah, he's sort of a Buddhist kind of mindset or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know everything about him. I just remember that him and Dawkins had a conversation. It was just so strange to me that Dawkins seems like surprised to learn Well, animals feel? Oh, well, that's just such an interesting concept. You mean they suffer? Oh, they can suffer? You mean when we're torturing the animal in a little cage for our meal, it suffers? Oh, I'm surprised by that. I never really gave that much thought. I'm just like, what the fuck? How could you figure out all this other crap and you couldn't figure that one out? Doggy likes head petted. Piggy doesn't like, nails in genitals.
Well, it's really, I don't know, it's all a matter of degree. I mean, I think even your top, like evolutionary biologists, like, say, Richard Dawkins. Actually, I don't, wait, is he a biologist? I'm not really sure actually what his credentials are, but a lot of them, they still have this sort of dichotomy between humans and then everything else. And I mean, I don't blame them. I think we as a species have a sort of a homocentric worldview, and I mean, I think it's natural, I would say, for us to have this worldview, but it can also be dangerous because, well, in large groups, any philosophy becomes dangerous. So, there you have it.
No, I don't think any philosophy becomes dangerous. Like I said, if everybody thought like me, there'd be no problems. Be okay with me.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the same thing every despot thinks.
It's what every non-despot thinks too. I'm just saying this idea that somehow the fault is in agreement is silly. It's not the agreement that's the problem. It's that people often agree about bullshit. They often agree around a lie. So that's the problem. But I mean, consensus is not a bad thing as long as the consensus is around a truth. I mean, it's kind of good that there's a consensus that the world is round and the sun is the center of the solar system. Yeah, it's good stuff.
A consensus is one of the bases of of human existence. Um, it's what we evolved around. We're an animal that's based on a consensus. It's what underlies tribalist formations, and you can see these spreading out throughout, modern society, as well as so-called, primitive societies as well. Everyone tends groupthink, basically. It's a derogatory term, but it's just a natural thing. That can be,
Well, I
it can
think
be a
it,
good
well,
thing
I
or a
think
bad
it's
thing.
natural. I think sheeple is a natural concept, so I'll concede that point, that there's always a percentage of the population that's going to just follow what the alphas are doing and say, okay, the alpha says so, and so there's always going to be those sheeple, and they're going to decide, one way or the other. In a sense, they're going to have that decision power just because of their numbers. There's more sheeple than there will be whatever the leader of the sheep is. But the bottom line is that we are progressing. I mean, we do figure things out over time, and so it's you know what I'm saying, it's not consensus that's the enemy. It's not agreement that's the enemy. It's not all that, being skeptical forever is stupid. There's a point where you put the skepticism in the toilet and you say, we're done with it already. Okay, let's flush it because we figured it out. And you can't keep. It's like crying wolf, and everybody seems to be crying Borg, crying 1984. They're just going to keep crying it forever. And it's like, well, no, there's a point where all this diversity and shit is no longer needed. We don't need to be undecided. There's a point where you say, yeah, we can be decided. Slavery sucks, don't do it. And there's lots of things we can be decided about.
I just find it interesting that over time, human beings seem to be constantly changing aspects of the way we live in different degrees. I mean, some of them are vast changes, like the whole commuter idea, as opposed to living in a village or something. And then some of them are small. But one thing that seems to define at least modern man is a constant, well, like what you said before, a sense of progress, that we're going in